when I arrived here, I made the decision, as I'd said, that this is the one thing I changed from this mainstream law of attraction was, I'm not using the law of attraction to get a new car, to get a house, to get money. I'm going to use the law of attraction to help people. I'm going to use it, if it's true, and I can visualize and attract what I need, then I am going to use it to attract what is needed to end suffering on this planet. Because myself having a new car, how can I enjoy that when I know there are children starving somewhere else? And this is exactly how I was. Not all are like that, but this is how I was. And so I set out to do that. And then whilst I was here, I kept pushing with God, what do I do? Let me be my highest good. Eventually, within a few months, I understood what needed to happen. And I said to God, okay, I am now visualizing all I can, these children around me in this community who are labouring, who are working in quarries, that they're going to school. I'm visualizing that they're in school. And I'm happy that they are already in school. I didn't want them to be in school. Because when you ask and when you want, you create more of the energy you're putting out. This is my experience. People want to be rich, so they spend their whole life wanting it because the energy put out into consciousness, into your reality, is that of wanting. 3 years, a village, 26 special needs children in our care, 55 rescue dogs, 15 smaller children, and 30 street-involved children, all of which have struggled horrendously, and over 600 in the community. 3 years of the law of attraction, or praying with the belief and understanding that you must be grateful for the solutions and not always pushing out the frustration of the want.
Give, always give what you can, even if you are lost your lines in the sand. And dig, always dig a little deeper, sometimes it's hard to be my brother's keeper.
Hey guys, I have decided I want to speak about something which is spoken of a great deal within the spiritual movements of the planet, and that is the law of attraction. Now, there are hundreds of people out there who are plugging the idea of the law of attraction and different methods and techniques and how to do it. And I, of course, adhere to the law of attraction in the form of prayer. Now, if you are moving around within the modern spiritual world, as it were, and within the communities, quite simply, the law of attraction has replaced a lot of the time the word prayer. To a Christian, they know from the teachings, if they are to believe them, of Jesus, that he says, if you truly believe and have faith, you can even move a mountain. And this is exactly what is spoken of with the law of attraction. If you can truly see it, visualize it, believe it, and feel it, you're going to touch it outside of yourself. You can achieve what you perceive to be impossible, because you drive through with an intention and with the faith and belief and knowing that it's already yours. You just need to find time to manifest. Now, I want to speak about it because I think something different about myself with regards to the law of attraction. Whilst I was going through my awakening and I was beginning to learn and understand my connection with God and with Source and with this reality, and I was beginning to release my old bad habits and wounds and heal through everything I'd gone through, I began to understand that the law of attraction, sadly, within the spiritual communities, was often very, very materially focused. It's always about you can have all of this money. It's always about you can have this great business. You can have this amazing car, this amazing house. And there's nothing wrong with having material abundance. Material abundance is, for some, an absolute necessity. For I need a level of material comfort to be able to function, to be able to sleep and work and do what I need to do. But I don't need a gargantuan mansion in a sports car. These are not necessities, and they wouldn't make me happy, but for others they might. But it was so materially focused, I began to feel, if I can master this law of attraction, why don't I use the law of attraction instead of for the new car, for the new house? Why don't I try and use it to help people on the planet who are suffering and don't stand a chance at all of being able to get out of that suffering because their basic survival needs are not met unless they suffer to get them? And this is what I began to think. Why is the law of attraction always about self-service, self-benefit, when if it does indeed allow us to achieve that which we desire and imagine and visualize, why would we visualize self-serving material benefits and goods? Because all materiality leaves you with a hangover. When you try to quell boredom, you try to subdue desires with materiality. You try to end suffering with material objects, with material sense pleasures. You end up with a hangover. And this is a position many people are in, and then they keep trying to get these material objects, and it brings no more joy to them, for they are completely disconnected from source. Now, the law of attraction, I didn't use it for material gain. I used it with a simple intention, and let me tell you how this worked for myself. My first thing was I wanted to be of my highest good. This is what I put out to God in prayer. But I said to God, I don't know what that is. So how do I visualize it? How do I go towards that goal when I don't know what it is? So let me just keep putting out to the universe, let me be my highest good. And if you guide me toward that, I will follow. And sure enough, in time during fasting, when I got my vibration as high as I could, and my consciousness was completely open to synchronicity, and also my mind was as silent as it can possibly be, because I was deep into a water fast, God showed me a doorway to my highest good, and it was to come to Tanzania and to do something, but I didn't know what still. But I knew from this numerical synchronicity, which is ultimately God showing myself, this is your signpost, this is your route to your highest good. And I attracted the circumstance, or God answered my prayer, for myself to know which way my highest good could be served and created and manifest on the planet, inside our home, on this reality of ours. Now, of course, many people can be skeptical and say, law of attraction. Now, you can go a physical or a metaphysical, but it's either way very important that you visualize and hang on to that intention just as I did. Now, I'm completely online with the metaphysical because there is no physical explanation for that level of mathematical coincidence, that the numerical synchronicity that millions of people are seeing now, the 1111, pointed me towards Tanzania, and then everything happened after I came here. But others will perhaps be a little bit more critical about it and won't fully understand the idea of the law of attraction, of energy attracting energy. So let's look at it on a physical sense. If you can hold and visualize your intentions, if you can hold on to your goals, if you can stay focused on there, your mind, without distraction, if it's not getting pulled away to watch a movie, pulled away to go and sit in the bar, or pulled away to do some mindless entertainment that overtakes your mind, and you can stay driven with goals, your mind is only going to latch on to more thoughts which help you to achieve that which you're aiming towards, because you've put it on that track. This is the idea of the law of attraction, is that your consciousness goes out on a metaphysical level and attracts back to it the events it needs to acquire what it requires. That is the case in some sense, but in another sense, it's also my consciousness speaking to the collective reality, which is in union with creator, source, however you want to call it. And that speaks back to me and says, let me show you which way to go. The very physical side of things, if you're a skeptic, then you can say that your mind is following the correct path because you managed to hang on to the visualization and the intention you wanted. Now, our reality is based upon relationships. A pin is only sharp because in relation to my soft skin, it is sharp. In relation to a rock, a pin is not sharp. You see, the relationships in our reality are a necessity for things to have the definition that they have. And as I look out into my reality, I understand that all of those things have a collective union due to that simple aspect that a pin is only sharp because I have soft skin. That I can only walk because there's a ground to walk upon. That I can only breathe because a tree and the air around me allows me to do so, and various other plant life or algae and so on and so forth. So there is a union and a bond between us, so why not be able to speak to it? But how is it ever going to hear you if you're just off watching TV, if you're just off doing this? But if you can get all of your focus and your visualization centered and you drive through with an intention, it can return the favor to you. It can hear you. And this is exactly how it was with myself. God heard me, and God heard me through the receptor of the collective consciousness and the collective matter, which is the reality that we live within. Now, once I knew where my highest good was and I knew where I needed to go, I became single-minded. And I've never spoken about this, but I became completely single-minded. And I would watch and research things to do with Tanzania. I would spend time looking at the Maasai tribe. And I knew, okay, this is where I'm heading. This is going to be a big part of my life. For certain, this Maasai tribe must become part of my life because this is where God sent me to go. And it was visualizing, it was consuming the imagery and being able to fuel my intention even heavier and my desire to go there by inputting within my subconscious the imagery and the information and the knowledge of the place where I knew God had asked me to go, or I knew, if you speak in terms of law of attraction and not in terms of an answered prayer, that the law of attraction had shown me when I said, let me be my highest good, but I don't know what that is, show me where to go. So I then knew where I would go, and it was Tanzania. And for many months, as I say, I had a vision board. I would use photographs of Maasai, of African wildlife, and I was single-minded. This is where I am going. And I was due to go, and I had a family bereavement, and it ruined my single-mindedness, and rightly so. I had to stay home, I had to be with the family. But once that was over and I could get my mind back, I was again single-minded. And sure enough, that single-mindedness led me straight here. That single-mindedness led me straight here. And I came. And there was no opportunity for me not to come at that point, because my thought, my intention, my mind was so driven on the idea that I was going. There was no chance that I was not. Reality had to get out of my way because I'd set such a path ahead of me in my visualization that it had no option. On a physical sense, my whole body and mind would never have been happy unless I went, because I programmed it so heavily that that's where you're going. When I arrived here, I made the decision, as I'd said, that this is the one thing I changed from this mainstream law of attraction was, I'm not using the law of attraction to get a new car, to get a house, to get money. I'm going to use the law of attraction to help people. I'm going to use it, if it's true, and I can visualize and attract what I need, then I am going to use it to attract what is needed to end suffering on this planet. Because myself having a new car, how can I enjoy that when I know there are children starving somewhere else? And this is exactly how I was. Not all are like that, but this is how I was. And so I set out to do that. And then whilst I was here, I kept pushing with God. What do I do? Let me be my highest good. Eventually, within a few months, I understood what needed to happen. And I said to God, okay, I am now visualizing all I can, these children around me in this community who are labouring, who are working in quarries, that they're going to school. I'm visualizing that they're in school. And I'm happy that they are already in school. I didn't want them to be in school. Because when you ask and when you want, you create more of the energy you're putting out. This is my experience. People want to be rich, so they spend their whole life wanting it, because the energy put out into consciousness, into your reality, is that of wanting. It's not that of gratitude for having. And thus, the laws of the universe that respond to that vibration that you put out give you more of the wanting. This is an experience I've seen within my life regularly. People want something and they just keep getting the experience of wanting it. Be grateful that you have something. When you're grateful that you have something, you're putting absolute faith in God. Now, God operates using universal laws, and the law of attraction can be called one such law. I just now call it prayer. But what I do, I don't sit here and say, oh, I want these children to be in school. I say to God, you are big, you are love, you are powerful, and you are just. So I am grateful that you've already helped these children, and I'm the bridge for you to help them. I know you will. That's my what. The how is on you. The how is up to the universe. The how is up to God. The how is up to the law of attraction. But the what I know. But driving into that what with gratitude as if it's already done, with the visualization that this is a complete task, attracts to you the thoughts to complete the task. It puts your mind on that thought train of how to complete the task. It sends that higher vibration out of this density of consciousness, in more spiritual terms, to that place that I call the field, where God can then speak to you and come back with answers. I've said it over and over again. You're looking to receive information via photons. Photons come through your eyes, stimulate your pineal gland, and give you an idea. They travel on angles of light. A message on an angle of light sounds very similar to a messenger of light, which is an angel, to myself. The higher you raise your vibration, the more open your heart is, the more open your gratitude centers are, then the more these photons can bring these messages to you. You attract it by being in that higher vibration. So I put out to God that I was grateful these children already had it. And bit by bit the ideas came, and I opened a Facebook page. That Facebook page initially I opened to help children to get some clothing and shoes at Christmas. With 300 likes on the page, I said, let me try and take advantage of that, an idea from somewhere or another, whilst holding on to the idea, let these children be in school instead of labouring. Let these children have a comfortable start. Let their families not suffer. Let their guardians not struggle. That Facebook page was changed on the 1st of January after that Christmas fundraiser, when the first child was sponsored. 2 years later, 550 children were supported by that Facebook page. That's where it began. But it began because I was putting out, let this happen. It has to happen. And I attracted, in my eyes, I received the answer to my prayer. In the eyes of the law of attraction, I attracted the answer. You see, your thoughts become things. Your thoughts become your reality. The energy you put out becomes your reality. If you're putting out that you want something, you'll keep getting that you want it. If you put out that this is solved, and I trust it is solved, I believe it, you will touch it. Now, these universal laws that people are starting to attune to and recognize within their consciousness comes from the fact that people have at least being able to surrender that lower nature. What happens when you surrender that lower nature that I always speak about? You open yourself up to your higher self, your higher faculties, your intuitive abilities, your imagination. The one thing that sets us aside from the animal kingdom is that imagination. To the best of our knowledge, most animals don't have that. We have the ability to invent, to create. We have the ability to imagine, visualize, and perceive creations that nothing else in the animal kingdom can. And this is where we have our greatest skill and ability an attribute as a human being. And these laws are universal. If your vibration matches it, you can have it. And God does not judge his children. God loves every single child he has. And sadly, because of that, these universal laws that govern not only the physical aspect of things, if a good person or a bad person jumps off a roof, it doesn't matter, they're both going to hit the floor. The universal laws ensure that that will happen. If a good person and a bad person realize the laws that work with regards to the higher intuitive abilities or the laws of consciousness and energy, then that doesn't perceive whether you're good or bad, it perceives the vibration you have. This is where I have a problem with the world and the law of attraction, because everyone's trying to get those goodies. Everybody's trying. Everybody who speaks about it is trying to either attract sexual partners. It's fine. I'd rather attract a wife and a soulmate. They're trying to attract cars, money, houses, big business. These are things that people are allowed to have, but why is nobody speaking about the obvious? If this truly works, why not attract things that end suffering? And I'm living proof that that works, because that's what I did. But I don't see it as a mindless law that just answers me. I see it as part of the source of this reality that I call God. I see it as one of his fingers, if you will, that responds. It guides you. And when I pray to Source with absolute belief that Source will do it, it'll happen. I know because within 3 years I've built a village for disabled children. There was no village here before. I'm sitting in a village. I'm sitting in a house I built. A full village for disabled children in 3 years. Over 600 children in full-time education. Immeasurable change in all of their lives, many of which were child labouring. Rescued nearly 100 dogs. Rehomed many, so I've only got 55 living with me now. Opened a centre for boys after I met a boy on the streets and said, I need something now, God, for this child. Within a week I had all the resources I need because God told me to make a video. I said I need to solve this problem. God sent the correct photon, the correct angle of light, the correct angel to show me how to align and attract the solution to the problem, how to answer the prayer. 3 years, a village, 26 special needs children in our care, 55 rescue dogs, 15 smaller children and 30 street involved children, all of which have struggled horrendously, and over 600 in the community. 3 years of the law of attraction, or praying with the belief and understanding that you must be grateful for the solutions and not always pushing out the frustration of the want. I want this, I want this. Okay, you can have more of wanting it then. That is prayer in action. That is the law of attraction in action. Now that's just this place. That doesn't equate to everything else in my life. It doesn't equate to the fact that in 2010, after many years of drug abuse and heavy smoking, I went to go for a run and I could run for 1 minute before I started coughing and spluttering terribly. I set an intention. I want to be running marathons. I was running half marathons within 2 years from that day because I was single-minded on something. I drove through with an intention, and that which I needed to allow me to start doing it was drawn into my life. For instance, eating a fruitarian diet for a long time to recover my body, water fasting to recover my body, eating the best diet that you can for such things, high-carb vegan diet. All of these things were drawn into my life because I had this singular intention set. I prayed when I was lonely that I need to meet a soulmate. I'm married now. This is, in no time at all, But this is because I understood that God was there. I understood he would answer. So there was no option but for these spectrums of reality, which are laws, universal laws, which come from the source, from the field, and enter into the matter and the consciousness of the reality around us. I understood they were connected to source, so I understood that answering prayers was important, that you get an energetic match to make sure that the reality around you understands. Now, if you still think that you're an ego inside a skin vehicle, this will make no sense to you at all. But if you've separated even for 1 minute, you'll understand what I'm talking about. And this is why most of my videos have been focused on saying, get out of your lower nature. But the more I focus on it, the more it makes me realize, surely by now people are trying to get out. So why not tell you what happens when you get out? Then you get your higher functions. Then the fun starts. Because then you start creating the change and the dreams of your deepest desires of your heart, and they manifest in front of you. And if those desires that you have are for a new car, for a new house, go away from the mainstream media, get into your heart and find your original desires. I'm currently focused single-minded on getting a new complex built for the special needs children here. I'm single-mindedly focused on getting our permaculture expanded so we can become the blueprint and at the same time a self-supporting charitable community that doesn't need donations. I'm single-minded on this. Before I came here, this desire did not exist within me, so I couldn't visualize it. I couldn't do it because it didn't exist within me. I would likely visualize a nice holiday, a car. Why? Because my subconscious was programmed with that nonsense because I'd grown up inside the Western system where people have understood how to sell you these ideas that look like some sort of freedom, look like some sort of benefit, but at the end of the day become nothing more than a ball and chain, nothing more than shackles as you go and pay for the car monthly over the next 10 years. And if you set your mind free from those concepts, from that idea, from the materiality, like all of these law of attraction videos keep speaking about, and say to God, let me be my highest good on this planet. Maybe you need a sports car, maybe your highest good's to be a race driver and inspire people. Cool, fine. But most people it won't be. Most people it will be service. Because children who are labouring in quarries just to be able to eat a meal at night time don't stand a chance of utilising their imagination. They don't stand a chance. At the same time, you might think people in hopeless poverty, how can the universe open doors for them? In the West, it can open countless doors for you. Countless. We can't all be the president because there's only one president, but it can open doors that lead you into different avenues if you have the correct vision and the correct want, and your voice is loud enough, and your gratitude is strong enough. Here, I see it. People will be praying for help, and I'll go for a run and my mind goes blank and I run places I've never been in my life, and I run straight onto the doorstep of someone in trouble. And I know what happened. They prayed. They called out to God. They said, God, we know you can help us, and we wait for you to do it. This is what we need. We don't know how, but we know you're going to. And it might take a week, it might take 2 weeks, but God will get in my head and he'll drive me up a mountain when I'm exhausted, running up and round through houses I've never been, getting lost, and then all of a sudden, bang, I'm right in front of this person with a smile as if, wow, you're here. And I know immediately. I know when my mind's blank and that happens, and I go to the person, do you need help? They say, yes. Yes, I do. But a child stuck in a quarry, how does God answer prayers when everybody's stuck in the quarry? How does he do it? And why are they stuck in the quarry? because these universal laws that do allow for us to have prayers answered, do allow for us to connect with the divine, do allow for us to manifest the abundance we require to help others, are abused, misused, and siphoned off into atrophy by the elitists who are basically funneling everyone's energy into their reality. Money, credit, loans, and at the same time strangling countries like this one and forcing people deeper and deeper into poverty. So if you're going to use the law of attraction, use it to do some good in the world. If you've got a vision board with your new car, cool, have that. But if you've got a vision board tonight, why don't you add something next to there? Why don't you add a simple question? Let me be my highest good in service of humanity and of the love that is God. And if you don't know what that is, He'll show you like He did me. And once He's shown you, then you can start adding things to your vision board. Things like the picture of a school you might want to build, or a picture of a hospital you might want to build, or a picture of a child receiving the medical care that you want every child to have, or pictures of beds that you want children to be able to sleep on. And God will see that your heart is pure, that your wants are pure, and He will send you those people who can make those things manifest. And He can send you the circumstances and the ideas that can make those things manifest. And that's how the law of attraction should be used. It's how prayer should be used. It should be used to help others. Because sometimes people are suffering through no fault of their own, and God's watching them. He's trying to help them. But He's got no reinforcements to help, because the only way God can speak to you is via your intuitive self, via your pineal, via these photons, via these messages from God, via these synchronicities. And all of His reinforcements, nearly all, are staring into a false light reality. They're staring into the TV, they're staring into the computer, staring into games, and He can't get the message through. And even if the message does come through, unfortunately, because of the way the elitists have set it up, too many people are now stuck on a rat run trying to provide for their children and can't hear it. But some do. And if you have faith and if you believe, you can build and create from nothing that which does end suffering. And that, for me, for my personal journey with the law of attraction, is what is important. If you need to build a business, build a business. If you need to provide employment, provide services, you do it. If you need to invent something, you do it. If you need to be a pro athlete and inspire people, you do that. You do what is of your very best, the best version of yourself. Do that. It doesn't have to be serving others, it doesn't have to be looking after children. It could be anything. Even someone out here serving children, I need inspiration. I look for inspiration. I see people doing things in athletics, in running and so on and so I get inspired by that. I see people teaching about nutrition or about running and things like this who are completely pro on it. It helps me. I see people speaking about these amazing permaculture projects as a great example. I need that. So we can't all just come out and serve children in need, of course. You might need to go and invent the next car. You might need to go and be an amazing musician who's going to soothe the souls of countless millions. But be grateful that you've got it. And don't presume you haven't got it just because you're not at the very top and you're not the very best. Because sometimes people have it and they don't even realize that they had it. Because they're too busy trying to aim to be someone else. You should never covet thy neighbour's oxen, as the Bible warns you. When you manifest what you want, don't be looking at the rich, famous guy saying, oh, but That's what I want. If you wanted to be a musician and now you're a musician, you did it. Let the music be your reward, not the money. And if you still have ideas of money, still have ideas of fast cars, still have ideas of mansions, you might need those things. But I would suggest you take some time to clear your subconscious and find out exactly what it is you really do want. There was a time I would have wanted a fast car. There was a time I had fast cars. Now, couldn't possibly even tempt me with one. I don't see a need in it. I couldn't enjoy such a thing. I cleaned my subconscious. I turned it around. I used the law of attraction to help. So I guess all I'm saying is, ultimate message, if you can master the law of attraction, you can change the world. 100%. You might not change the whole planet, but every day a child goes to school, I change the world for that child. We, collectively. God bless.